So welcome back. This is lecture 4 of income from salaries for AY 2022-23 for CMA Intermediate December 2022 attempt. ठीक है, तो चलिए हम आगे चलते हैं. We had done quite a bit of allowances last time, right? House rent allowance was over. This example was over. It started with special allowances, right? So I'd shown you this, which was exempt to the extent of amount spent. Okay, this was your 1014 1. Okay, 1014 subclause 1 or just 1, you can say, right? So after this we saw special allowances. It was 1014 2. Okay, so in this what we had seen is, one is children education allowance 100 per month per child up to a maximum of 2 children. Okay, and then we had seen hostel allowance, also called as hostel expenditure allowance. Okay, 300 per month per child up to a maximum of 2 children, right? So for both of it, you can get up to 2 children. Now remember, if you have one child only, if you have one child, you'll get only for one child. Okay, you will not be eligible for deduction for 2 children, right? So if you have 3 children, again you can get for 2 children. Okay, and say if you've got 3 children and you are getting 3 different amounts, okay, of allowance, you're getting 3 different amounts of allowance, then you can always choose the 2 higher ones so that you can get more exemption. Okay, so what I'm saying, I'll show you with an example. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया आपका चिल्ड्रन एजुकेशन अलाउंस जो है 100 पर मंथ पर चाइल्ड, मैक्सिमम ऑफ 2 चिल्ड्रन. ओके, 100 पर मंथ यानी इंटू 12 करेंगे तो आपको एनुअल मिल जाएगा. ओके, सिमिलरली हॉस्टल का 300 पर मंथ इंटू 12 कीजिए, 3600 एनुअल फिगर मिल जाएगा आपको. ठीक है, तो 3600 जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, ओके, ये एक बच्चे के लिए. ठीक है, तो 2 के लिए आप डेवलप कर देंगे 7200 होगा. सिमिलरली यहाँ भी, ठीक है, 2 बच्चों के लिए कितना हो जाएगा 2400, राइट. सो यहाँ पे ये इसके ऊपर वी हैड सीन द डेफिनेशन ऑफ चाइल्ड. Adopted child and stepchild are included. Okay, always adopted child is a part of your family in all laws. Okay, so even if it is not told, you do not remember. Also, always remember, if something comes about adopted child in all laws of India, adopted child is your child. Okay, so adopted child and stepchild. Stepchild basically is something that you marry another person, the another person already has a child from previous marriage, correct? So when you marry that person, that child becomes your stepchild. In a way, when you marry that person, okay, automatically you adopt that child. Okay, so stepchild also in a way is an adopted child, right? So but not what is not included is illegitimate child and grandchild. Okay, and then next is child may be a major or minor child. It's very, very important point. It's a very important point. Okay, so even a person, that means even if your son is 62 years old, your son is 62 years old, and let us say you are 90 years old, and you are getting this children allowance. Okay, children education allowance you are getting. Okay, and so then that means you have a child, right? Even this 62-year-old person will be treated as child for you. Okay, so age of the child is immaterial. ठीक है, जो आपका बेटा है या बेटी है, उनका एज का कोई लेना देना नहीं है. वो आपका बेटा हो सकता है सीनियर सिटीजन हो, राइट, लेकिन आपको अगर अलाउंस मिल रहा है ऐसा कुछ, ठीक है, और आपको अगर एक बेटा है 62 ईयर्स का, एक बेटी है 64 ईयर्स की, ठीक है, तो आपको आराम से ये दोनों के लिए आपको एग्जेम्पशन मिल जाएगा. विल गेट एग्जेम्पशन फॉर बोथ ऑफ देम. ओके, सो this is it. When you see some problems on this, it will be clear for you. right? Next is transport allowance, that is office to residence one. So there is no deduction, no exemption for this, okay? For transport allowance, it is fully taxable. Only for blind, deaf and dumb, orthopedically handicapped, there is an exemption of 3,200 per month. So multiply by 12 and take. ठीक है, जो विकलांग कैटेगरी में आते हैं बस उन्हीं के लिए इसको एग्जेम्पशन है, नहीं तो हम लोग अगर कोई भी ऑर्डिनरी पर्सन, okay, who is not handicapped, if we travel from office and back, there is no exemption for it. ठीक है, right? ये हो गया. एंड देन नेक्स्ट लास्ट वन इज ट्रक ड्राइवर अलाउंस और अलाउंस रिसीव्ड बाय ट्रांसपोर्ट एम्प्लॉइज. सो ये ट्रक ड्राइवर भी हो सकता है, बस ड्राइवर भी हो सकता है, ओके. सो इट कैन बी सम अदर cab driver who is working for transport system, okay. So it doesn't mean that it's only for truck, okay. It's basically for transport employees, ठीक है, right? So now here so this is working in a transport system to meet personal expenditure, okay. If you see truck driver, say he's starting from city A, okay, starting from city A, and from here he will move on, say he'll move to city B, then he'll move to city C, okay. He's continuously going to different places, correct? Right? So personal expenses, whatever he has to pay in his original place, that is A, okay, that will always be less, and whatever he has to spend in these new places, that will be more, right? Same concept as your daily allowance, okay. So which is why uh, this allowance is given to transport employees, those who move from city to city, those transport employees, okay. Within the city, if you are moving and coming back in the evening, then there is no additional amount which you are spending, correct, for displacement. चलिए, सो कितना है अब ये देखना है, कितना एग्जेम्पशन है. तो याद रखना है 70% ऑफ अलाउंस इज एग्जेम्प्ट और 10,000 पर मंथ विच एवर इज लोअर, ओके. और याद रखिए एकदम, क्योंकि ये यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स को प्रॉब्लम होता है, ये 10,000 पर मंथ है, ठीक है. दिस 10,000 पर मंथ, ठीक है. ये एनुअल, ओके. 10,000 देख के हमको लगता है कि एनुअल अमाउंट है करके, इट्स नॉट एनुअल, इट इज पर मंथ. तो कितना हो गया एनुअल इंटू 12 कीजिए, 1,20,000 पर एनम, ओके. 70% of such allowance or 1,20,000 per annum, okay, whichever is lower, that much will be the exemption, right? And if daily allowance is getting, then this is fully taxable. If it's getting daily allowance, okay, then your transport allowance is fully taxable, because as we have seen, daily allowance is also for the same purpose, correct? So if you're getting two similar allowances, then and you have exemptions in both, you can only take one exemption, right? So if you're getting daily allowance, you will not get this exemption, okay, right? So this was some part of your special allowances, okay. And what you should remember, these were figures. ये जो है आपको याद रखना है, क्या क्या, ठीक है. ये याद रखना है, ये याद रखना है. You have to remember all these what I am underlining, okay. This you have to remember, and this you have to remember. Now the ones below this, you don't have to remember the limits, okay. In most cases, these are all limits for many states together, and for different states you will have different limits. So which is why you're not expected to know this. That's why here I have written in notes also, you can see, no need to memorize amount of exemption for the below till number 20. Starting from number 11 till number 20, don't have to remember the amount, okay. Just, you just need to know what the allowances are, right? So now, so this is basically continuation. After this is 10 here and this is 11 here, okay. So this is for hilly area, high altitude. So for people working in very high altitudes or a climate which is not suitable, for that if you are getting allowance, Okay. So that is exempt up to the amount prescribed in Rule 2BB. So this amount will be given to you in the exam. Okay. As I said, these most of these are defined for different states. For different states, you have got different limits. Okay. So which is why you don't need to remember it. Now next is, but if you want to see it, it is there in the appendix of your study material. You can just go and see the appendix once. Okay. Like nothing, just I'm telling you, like you definitely don't have to remember any of the amounts. So whatever I've given here, that is sufficient for you. So then this is border area allowance, remote locality allowance, or difficult area, disturbed area allowance. Okay. So here also, so this allowance is also a special allowance. Just remember that much. Okay. Now these are now given in specified states. Okay. There are some specified states. So all 13, 14, and 15 states specified are different group of states. So that's why you don't have to remember. Just see, read through once. Okay, so you would know what these allowances are. Tribal area, scheduled area, agency area allowance, compensatory field area allowance, compensatory modified field area allowance. Okay, okay. Here I've just put this, so just for a reference I've put. As such, you don't have to learn this also. Okay. Then you have got, these are all mostly, most of these allowances are given to armed forces. Most of this. Okay, again, these you need not remember all this. Okay. Next is counter insurgency allowance. Okay, for armed this is for armed forces who are away from their locations for 30 days or more. Okay, it's counter insurgency, like when they are fighting the enemy during that time. Okay, they have to move ahead, right? So from their post, if they are moved uh, ahead for more than 30 days, right? Then they get a special allowance for that. Okay, yeah, underground allowance for mines. Okay, then high altitude allowance. This is another type of high altitude allowance. Okay, this is compensatory highly active field area allowance. Okay, just move it. Okay, and this is island duty allowance. Okay, so island duty allowance is given for Andaman and Lakshadweep Islands. Okay, Andaman and Lakshadweep is your island duty allowance. Okay, so why I have just read once is, if you're listening, you will just know, okay, these are the special allowances. So as such, you don't have to remember these limits and all. Okay, you just need to, in general, you should know if something like this comes, it should just click that it is a special allowance. Okay, as per 10.14.2, only that much. Okay, right, now let's move ahead. Other exempted allowances. Now this is again allowance and perquisite to a government employee who is citizen of India. Okay, for services rendered outside India. Okay, so this is what I told you earlier, that we will see this on many occasions. ठीक है, आपको बोला था मैंने ये सब कई बार हमको ये दिखेगा. ये बेसिकली है गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय हु इज एन इंडियन सिटीजन, ठीक है, एंड रेंडरिंग सर्विसेज आउटसाइड इंडिया. ये है मेन इसमें. ठीक है, क्या है? गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय, इंडियन सिटीजन, एंड इज रेंडरिंग सर्विसेज आउटसाइड इंडिया. इसका जो सैलरी होता है वो डीम्ड टू एक्रू और अराइज इन इंडिया होता है. ओके, सैलरी, ओके, डीम्ड टू एक्रू और अराइज इन इंडिया. So short में क्या है? It is taxable in India, right? And but allowances and perquisites and perks लिखता हूँ short में. Okay, these are exempt. Okay, ये याद रखना है इनका, बस आपको ये दोनों अलग अलग जगह पे अलग अलग इसमें आएगा. कभी बोलेंगे सैलरी टैक्सेबल है, टीम टू एक्रू अराइज इन इंडिया है. कभी अलाउंसेस में अलग से आ जाएगा, अलाउंसेस एग्जेम्प्ट है. परक्विजिट पढ़ेंगे तब आएगा एक बार फिर से कि परक्विजिट इनके लिए एग्जेम्प्ट है. ओके, So this will be repeated several times. Basically, for Indian citizen, okay, government employee. This is for government employee who is an Indian citizen for services rendered outside India. Okay, for this, so salary is taxable, allowance perquisites are exempt. That's all you have to remember. Next is allowance for High Court judge. Okay, as per 22A of High Court Judges Consolidation of Service Act 1954, exempt. Okay, this is exempt. And then sumptuary allowance we have already talked about. Supreme Court and High Court exempt. And allowances and basic salary of UNO employees. Okay, UNO employees is exempt. Okay, we have already talked about these things. And there was something about SARC. ठीक है, हम लोगों ने SARC के बारे में हमने बात किए थे, right? I told you that details of that we will see little below. I told you, right? Yes, in the previous class. So this is salary to a teacher or professor from SARC member states. Okay. So SARC is South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. Okay. So this is basically, this has 8 countries now. 8 countries who are our neighboring countries. Okay. India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, okay, Maldives, all these countries. So Afghanistan has also been added now. It was 7 before. Now Afghanistan is also added. These are called as SARC countries. So they have an agreement that, okay, among the 8 countries, if any teacher, okay, is going to any other member country, okay, then the teacher's salary, okay, is exempt from tax. Okay, this is the mutual agreement among all of them, right? So your conditions for exemption is such teacher, professor or research scholar is a resident of other SARC state. Okay, resident. Okay, same fiscal year or immediately preceding. Okay, why immediately preceding is if the teacher is teaching for more than a year, okay, then you cannot see the same year, right? For residential status, for that year the teacher will be in a foreign country, so that's why you can see the previous year also for residential status. Okay, so such professor, teacher, research scholar is a resident of other SARC member state. Okay, so and then visiting for is for teaching or engaging in research at an approved institution. Approved institution is all these governments will be approving certain institutions for SARC purposes. So they have to go and get involved with those institutions only. Okay. And remuneration is exempt in the other state for 2 years. Okay. So because this is a mutual exemption, it is like, it is, let us say India, okay, India, and let us say Maldives. Okay. So if Indian teacher is going to Maldives, Indian teacher is going to Maldives, okay, and let us say Maldives teacher is coming to India as a teacher. Okay, so if India is giving to the Maldives teacher exemption for salary for 2 years, okay, then Maldives will also give it for 2 years. So whoever teacher is traveling here, they will have exemption from salary, exemption from taxation for 2 years. Okay, so that's all it is. So basically इसमें इतना ही है, इससे ज्यादा कुछ हमको सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है. एक is a mutual agreement between 8 countries, okay, for teaching profession specifically, right? So even between India and Pakistan also it is there. So both are SARC nations. So actually for all nations it is there. Okay. So now, right. So now we will go ahead with this. Is clear? So very simple thing. SARC member states, just remember that he should be a resident of the other SARC member states. For first condition is, okay. First condition is resident, and second condition is visit is for teaching or engaging in an approved research association. Okay, and third is remuneration is exempt in the other state for 2 years. Right. Basically, if it is exempt in the other state, we will also exempt for 2 years. It's like that, right? So that is it. Very simple. Remember in a simple way, right? So now, so as we have just started now today, okay, I've only done the part starting from here, basically from special allowances, which were done previously also in the previous class. Okay, then I just took you through quickly of the other these allowances for which you need not remember the limits. So I have written here, no need to memorize exemption for the below till number 20. Okay, so you need not memorize, you only just need to know what the allowances are. That too, you need not memorize each of the allowances, just overall you should know, okay, these are all special allowances, right? And no need to remember the these amounts here for the ones where I have mentioned. Okay, right? And then we have seen other exempted allowance, these two also are repeated actually. And then we talked about SARC. Okay, so SARC exemption is for teachers or professor, okay, or research scholar, right? For teaching field people, and these three conditions are fulfilled, then they will get exemption. Okay, so now we will now go ahead and we will do दिस प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है, तो यहाँ तक हमारा हो गया बिल्कुल क्लियर ये. और अब हम प्रॉब्लम स्टार्ट करेंगे. यहाँ सबसे पहला प्रॉब्लम इलस्ट्रेशन 10. Lalu Singh received education allowance of rupees 80 per month for his first child, 90 per month for second, 120 per month for third child. Okay, so 80, 90 and 120 he is receiving. None of his children are studying. See, for 10, 14, 1, okay, that is wherever your, yeah, these, sorry, 10, 14, 2, which is your children education allowance and all these allowances. Okay, here the amount is specified directly. Okay, so it doesn't make a difference if your child is studying or not. If you are getting children education allowance and you have a child, that is sufficient. Okay, if you don't have a child, then this will be fully taxable. But if you have a child, you will get exemption. Yeah, exemption is defined for 2 children here, right? So if you have 4 children also, you will get for 2 children. Okay, if you have 1 child, you will get for 1 child. If you have no child, you will not get. Okay, so it's 100 per month per child, isn't it? So now if we see the problem, so he has 3 children, right? Find children education allowance and hotel allowance. So they have given us hostel allowance also. Hostel allowance of 1000 per month. Okay, so this is now given as a full amount, right? Now these three and the above, the children allowance, if you see, they've given you as 80 for first child, 90 for second child, and 120 for third child. Okay, so now what we'll do is, we're computing the exemption. So exemption basically will be 100 per month per child. Okay, let's start with hostel allowance. Hostel allowance 12,000, full amount was given, correct? Right? How much was given for hostel allowance? 1,000 per month. Okay, 1,000 per month. Multiply by 12, we'll get 12,000. Okay. So this is 12,000. What is exempt? Let's exempt it. So exempted for hostel allowance is 300 per month per child. For education allowance is 100 per month per child. So you have got 3 children, right? So you can take for 2, exemption for 2. 300 into 2, this becomes a monthly amount for 2 children, multiply by 12 for annual. So this comes to 7,200. 12,000 minus 7,200 is 4,800 is the taxable amount. Okay, now children, for children education allowance. Okay, first see how much allowance you have got. Okay, here a total amount was given, so we took it directly. So here what you have to do, just see 80 into 12, 90 into 12 and 120 into 12. This gives you the total amount. Okay, now for exemption, here, see here you cannot take 200, like 100 here and 100 here you cannot take. Why? Because this allowance is already defined by your employer, that he is giving 100 for one child, 90 for one child and 80 for one child. Okay, so because for this 100, this is more than 100, but exempted amount will be 100 only. Okay, this is he's giving you 190 only, so you can only take 90 here. Okay, so 100 plus 90 into 12 will be 2280, and this minus this will give you this outside. Add these two and you will get the total taxable allowance. Okay, इसमें जो क्या हमने देखा मेन इस प्रॉब्लम में क्या है, जो पहले वाले में आपने पूरा 300 क्यों ले लिया, क्योंकि आपको लमसम अमाउंट दे रहा है, इट इज गिविंग यू 1000 पर मंथ. ठीक है, वट एवर हाउ मेनी चिल्ड्रन, वट एवर यू हैव, हाउ मेनी एवर चिल्ड्रन यू हैव, is giving you 12,000 per year or 1,000 per month. Okay, so that is why for exemption you can take the full amount, take 300, you have two children, just do into 2 and 12, you can take like this. But instead of giving you an amount like this, full amount, if the employer defines your allowance like this, like I'm giving you 80 for first child, 90 for second child, 120 for third child, ऐसा अगर बोलता है, तब आप exemption जो है इसी अमाउंट्स में आपको पिक करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, 120 आपका एग्जेम्प्ट अमाउंट इज ओनली 100, तो विल टेक 100. अब यहाँ पे आप 90 ही ले सकते हो. ओके, तो दिस इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू. चलिए नेक्स्ट वी विल सी वन मोर प्रॉब्लम, द सेम थिंग. Mr. and Mrs. X have 3 children. 2 are not studying. So I said studying, not studying, that is no question at all about that. Okay, so if he has children, that is sufficient, right? So here 2 of them are not studying. So this is only to confuse you. Okay, so both are working in the same company and getting children education allowance. Okay, so Mr. X is getting 500 per month and 500 per month children education allowance, and hostel allowance 1000 per month. Mrs. X is also getting the same thing. Okay, so the exemption of this, the exemption section, it doesn't say that if both people of the same family will get, then only one will get exemption. There is nothing like that. Okay, so in this case also both of them will get exemption. So right, because the amounts are same, so exemption also will be the same for both. Correct? Compute taxable allowances. Okay, so let's see computation of taxable allowance. So this is 500 per month, this is 1000 per month. 500 per month children education allowance, multiply by 12, 12 5s are 60, 6,000 annually. Okay, let's see. Five hundred into 12 is 6,000. This is for Mr. X, this is for Mrs. X. So both are the carbon copies of each other. Okay, their allowances are same, everything is same, so there's not going to be any difference. Okay, so less exemption again here, because employer has given a lump sum amount and not told that this is for this child, this is for this child. Okay, so they can take it fully. 100 into 2 for 2 children into 12 for annual, that is 2400. 6,000 minus 2400 is this 3,600. Postal allowance was 1,000. Okay, so 1,000 into 12 is what he will get, which is 12,000. And then exemption is 300 into 2 into 12. Okay, this is exemption. Just 12,000 minus this will give you 4,800. Add these two, you will get taxable allowance. Okay, and for Mrs. X, same thing, just replicate it same. Okay, so this is the second problem. Now we will do one more problem. Okay, so this one says Mr. Mughal joined Star Limited on 1/4/2021. Okay, details regarding his salaries, right? So they've given all this basic DA, education allowance, hostel allowance, medical allowance, okay, transport allowance, all allowances they have given us, okay. Then bonus, commission, and fees, okay. So these three are always fully taxable. I told you when we saw the pro forma, correct? Bonus, commission, and fees. On top of everything, basic salary, and then these three. These four things are always fully taxable. Okay. So let's see what is the question. Compute gross taxable salary. Okay. Right. So he is a private employee here, and we have to compute gross taxable salary. So for gross taxable salary, first thing what we have to do is see this basic will be fully taxable and these four will be fully taxable. Straight away it will come in the pro forma. Now we have to talk about the middle things. These are all the allowances. Okay. These are all the allowances. In this, I'll just tell you which are the taxable allowances. Okay. Let's show them in green, which are fully taxable. Okay. DA is always fully taxable. Okay. So this forming part of salary for retirement benefit, it is only the meaning of salary for certain things. Okay. For computing your exempt amount, you use this, how much is forms part of salary for retirement benefit. But DA in itself is a fully taxable allowance. Okay. So DA entire to an amount will always be fully taxable. Whatever part be considered for retirement benefit or not, that is of no avail. Okay. DA in itself is a fully taxable allowance, right? When you use DA for computing some other allowance like HRA or something like that, that time you see what forms part of salary for retirement benefit. Okay. So DA is your fully taxable, right? And then education allowance, we know it is partly exempt, 100 per month per child. Hostel allowance is also partly taxable, partly exempt. Medical allowance is fully taxable. Okay. Now transport allowance is fully taxable. I told you it's only exempt for handicapped people. Okay. 3,200 per month for handicapped people. Okay. And then servant allowance is fully taxable. Remember, you have, see, for this, for solving problems of this thing, allowances, you need to know those six which are exempt to the extent of amount spent. Okay. So this is like so if it is a part of those six, it will be exempt to the extent of amount spent. Okay. I'll tell you like the way I used to remember. So if it works for you, you can remember it the same way, or you can find a way to remember it. Okay. So I'll tell you that a servant allowance and assistant allowance. Assistant allowance is exempt up to the extent of amount paid. Okay. So this is exempt to the extent of amount paid. Servant allowance is not. So fine. See, you have to appreciate the difference between the words here. Servant and assistant are different. Okay. Servant is person who is doing manual work or unskilled work for you. Right. Your assistant is someone, who is doing skillful work for you, basically. Okay. Assisting you with some professional work. So both are totally different. Servant allowance is fully taxable. CCA fully taxable. Okay. City government city allowance is fully taxable. And entertainment allowance is always taxable. Even for government employees, you will include it in the salary, but in the end you can give the deduction. Okay, right? So as given in section 16(2), you can give the uh, exemption for entertainment allowance for government employees only. Now here this is not a government employee. Okay, so which is why it is a fully taxable allowance for us. Assistant allowance will be partly exempt. Professional development allowance will also be partly exempt. Okay. So now, so basically, so all these what I have underlined, these are all fully taxable. Okay. Straight away will include fully taxable. Now, what we have to work out is, let us say, we'll use pink. One is education allowance. He has one son and 3 daughters. Okay. So for 2 children, it will be exempt. Right? 200 into 100 into 12. Hostel allowance is getting 2000 per month. So 2 into 300 into 12 will be exempt. None of the children is sent to the hotel. It's of no use. And then assistant allowance 3000 per month is getting, and it will be exempt to the extent of amount paid. That is 2000 will be exempt. Professional development allowance. Okay. This is also exempt to the extent of amount paid. Okay, so here allowance is 2000, but expense is more than that. You will get exemption up to 2000. Okay. Right. So now, so that's all about it. So I'll show you how I used to remember that the ones which are exempt to the extent of amount paid. Okay. 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 Exempt to the extent of amount paid, not amount paid, sorry, I said amount paid, to the extent of expense incurred. Okay, exempt to the extent of expense. Whatever expense you have incurred, to that extent, it will be exempt. For example, if allowance is 1000 and the expense you have incurred is 800, then your exemption will be 800. If your expenditure is 2000, then your exemption will be limited to 1000. Okay, it will work like this. So I used to remember this sentence: traveling daily, convey, helper, academic, uniform. So basically, a sentence saying that I'm traveling daily is convey, helper, okay, to wash my academic uniform. So this was what something I framed. I still remember it. This was when I framed it long back. Something like this you can do. So traveling is your okay. So basically, what did I say? Here, just to remember, I used to use this sentence: traveling daily, convey, helper, academic, uniform. Okay. So which means that the meaning was, I travel daily, so please convey my helper. okay, to wash my academic uniform. Something like that. Okay, this is what I remembered. Okay, right. So this is traveling or transfer allowance, traveling first one. Okay, daily is daily allowance, convey is conveyance. Okay, and helper is your assistant or helper allowance. Okay, academic allowance, and then your uniform allowance. Okay, so this is how I used to remember this. So you can also, if this sentence doesn't work for you, you can frame something else, but it's always important to remember these six. Okay, what 24 214 1 is saying, if you know these six, then you will not have a problem. Okay, you can easily separate the others if you are sure that you know these six properly. Okay, right. So I will go ahead with the solution now. The first, as I told you, first thing is, like, once you write this, first thing is your basic salary, bonus, commission, and fees. Just put it as it is. Okay. After this is done, we'll go to the allowance section. And here, your DA is fully taxable. So full amount is included. Whatever we classified above, you will have. Okay. We're doing based on that. So after DA, next is education allowance in the same order. Education allowance is 12,000 here annually, and exemption is 100 into 2 into 12. Okay, which is this. This minus this you have to do, you will get this amount outside. Then hostel allowance is 2,000 per month or 24,000, and exemption is 300 into 2 into 12, which is 7,200. Okay, and then this minus this, if you do, this will go outside, taxable part. Okay, then after this we said that medical allowance is fully taxable, transport allowance is fully taxable. Okay, that's why it is fully taxable. And here also an exemption they have shown as nil. This was also not needed. Okay, straight away you can write as fully taxable. Right, then again servant allowance we saw was fully taxable. So this is fully taxable here. So you have to, in your house, just go home and take a pen or paper, or if you are comfortable online, then you can just do it in an Excel or something like that. Okay, right? But try to do it on your own. Okay, keep the answer away, take the question, and try to frame it together. Okay, if you can do it on pen and paper, nothing like that. Okay. Then servant allowance is fully taxable, CCA is fully taxable. Okay, so all these have come directly. Entertainment allowance is fully taxable, right? And he will have no deduction also as a private employee, right? In assistant allowance, next is our assistant allowance. So I said, so it comes in that sentence, traveling daily convey helper. Okay, helper and assistant are same. Okay, so assistant allowances, again, it will be exempt to the extent of amount spent. So here 36,000, 3,000 was the allowance per month, and the person spent 2,000 per month. Okay, which is why his taxable amount will be 12,000. Now for professional development allowance, the next one, okay, professional development allowance, he got 2,000, and he spent more than that, I think 8,000 or something. So whole thing is exempt here. Okay, so it is nil, right? So these are all your, okay, all these gives you your taxable allowances here. Okay, so now next what you have to do, We have just segregated. First thing you have to do is segregate everything. Okay. So like first thing in the question paper itself, we saw and we found out what to do out of this. So we saw that what are the fully taxable allowances. We know that it fully taxable means you have to put it directly in your answer. You have to do nothing. So in the end, what happened is there were only four things for which we had to do something. All others we had to put directly in the answer. Okay, so once this is done, and these are direct taxable amounts here in the last column, just add the last column and you will get the total as gross taxable salary. This is your gross taxable salary. Okay, right. So now we will do one more problem. So we're going to finish allowance section today, right? And after that, tomorrow we will start with perquisites. So tomorrow will be a long session. Okay, it will be from 7 to 10:30 or 11. Okay, but I'll frame it in such a way that in your first 3 hours we'll do all the important things. In the last 1 hour I'll just solve some problems or something. So if you are busy also towards the end, let us say if you want to leave by 10:15 or even by 10. Okay, so last 1 hour will be something which will be little easier. That's how I will frame the session. Okay, but try to be in from 7 to 10. Okay, that will be the important part. Okay, so we'll try to finish off perquisites tomorrow. Let's see how it goes, but we'll try to finish off perquisites. Right, so now this one says she is a citizen of India, okay, and a government employee. Citizen of India and a government employee. Okay, but she's working in India because they have nowhere mentioned she's working outside India. Okay, now here basic salary, DA, DP, and fees. So DP and DA are both same. So DP, meaning of DP is when you are getting DP. DP is nothing but DA, but it means that it is fully part of salary for computing retirement benefits. That is the only difference between DA and DP. Okay. So like in DA, they have to give you, right, that 50% forms part of salary or something. So in DP, it is like you call it DP when it is part of salary for retirement benefits. Okay. Otherwise, your DP and DA are the same. As such, when you treat them, there's no difference between these two. These two are the same. They are DA only. Okay. Only thing is that here they are expressly telling you that it is part of salary for retirement benefits. And in DA, if they don't tell you anything, like them don't tell you, you will consider this also part of salary, right? So that means this entire 4,000 is the same treatment for you. Okay. And then fees is also fully taxable. So these three are taxable. And then you have got HRA, children education allowance, children allowance. There is nothing called children allowance. Okay, children education allowance is there. This children allowance will be fully taxable. Okay, there's nothing called children allowance. Then you have hostel allowance, you have dress allowance, always fully taxable. Okay, uniform allowance and dress allowance again, right? Uniform allowances, you will get exemption to the extent of amount spent. Okay, but for dress allowance, you have no exemption, fully taxable. So dress and below that they have given uniform also. Okay, all these are there. Just once you go home, whenever you find time, you all okay try and do these problems. Okay, if you don't do, just maybe when you see it with me, you will be fine with it, that how it has been done, whatever I'm explaining. But here it's important that you should be able to, once you go home, you should be able to frame the answer properly. Okay, so unless you do it once on your own, you will not get that confidence. Okay, dress, uniform allowance, tiffin allowance is also fully taxable, and education allowance for own education. Okay, this is nothing but academic allowance. For own education, education allowance means it is academic allowance. So it is exempt to the extent of amount spent. 2000 is the allowance, amount spent is 1500. So 1500 will be the exemption for this. Now compute gross salary. It's very similar to the previous one. Now here, let us again do the same thing. We'll see where all we have to do some computation. Okay, nothing till here. For HRA, we'll have to compute. These two you will have to compute. Okay, and then children allowance is nothing. For hostel allowance, you have to compute. Correct? And dress allowance is taxable. Uniform allowance, it will be exempt up to 1000. 1000 means up to the amount spent. Okay, so and then tiffin allowance is fully taxable, and this will be exempt up to 1500. So whatever I have marked in blue now, only these things we have to treat. Other than this, whatever are there, it will go straight into the format. Okay, so basically these four straight into the format. This will go straight into the format. Okay, and this dress allowance will go straight into the format. Basically, for dress allowance, this expenditure is of no use for us. 5000 per month will go straight away to the format. Okay, last is tiffin allowance, again fully taxable. Right, so now we know what to do with all that, all of these. Okay, so here for house rent allowance, our meaning of salary is basic plus DAF plus commission. Okay, so there is no commission anywhere in the problem, right? So no commission. This is your basic and DA if both are DA, right? I told you DA and DP here. DP anyway is DA always, even if not told. And if DA nothing is given, it is forming part of salary. So that's why these two both are DA now for you. Okay, 4000 is your DA. Okay, forming part of salary. Okay, so this is now done. Right, so now we can just start with our solution. So first, just put your basic salary and fees straight away. Okay, nothing to be done. Then start allowances. In allowances, put the taxable ones, DA, DP here, fully taxable. Next is house rent allowance. So house rent allowance, 60,000 is the house rent allowance. Want to see again, then 5000 per month, 12 5s are 60. Okay, rent paid is 4000 per month. Okay, so this is your house rent allowance part. Now in this we want the 60,000, least is taxable, one is actual amount 60,000. Okay, next is 50% of salary because the place has been mentioned as Kolkata. Okay, Kolkata is the place, which is where this will be 50% of salary. And salary is what we said, basic salary. There is no commission here. Okay, so basic salary is 2000 per month, and your DA is 3000 per month, and your DP is 1000. Correct? So add these three, you will get salary. So 50% of this is 36,000, and then so these are totally this 60,000 plus 12, 72,000. 10% of 72,000 is 7,200. So rent paid was given as 4,000. 12 fours are 48. 48,000 minus 7,200. It gives you 40,800. What is least of the three? 36,000. So 36,000 is taxable. Now 60,000 minus 36,000 gives you 24,000. Done. Children education allowance, now you would be very comfortable with this, right? So this is total amount is 3,000. He got 12 threes are 36,000. Okay. And she had only one adopted child. Only one adopted child is given in brackets, right? 100 into 1 into 2 is the exemption. 100 into 1 into 12. 1,200. So this minus this will give you this. Fine. Clear? Now for hostel allowance, the children allowance, just put it straight away. Fully taxable. For hostel allowance, 2,000. So 12,000, 24,000. Correct? Exemption is 300 into 1 adopted child. Correct? So 300 into 1 into 12. So this gives you 36,000. This minus this you do, you'll get this. Fine. Right? So dress allowance is fully taxable. Just put it here. And in uniform allowance, okay, just the exemption will be amount spent, to the extent of amount spent. So 2,000 was the allowance. So take 24,000 here, and amount spent was 1,000. Okay, so 1,000 per month means 12,000. So that's fine. This minus this is 12,000. Fine. And then tiffin allowance, last three are remaining. Tiffin allowance is fully taxable, right? So straight away it comes here. Education allowance for own study is nothing but your professional development allowance. Okay, so this is again exempt up to the extent of amount spent. So 2,400, which is 2,000 per month. 24,000, sorry, not 2,000, 24,000, which is 2,000 per month, and this is 1,500 per month. The expense, so expense is exempt. This becomes 18,000, and then 24,000 minus 18,000 will give you 6,000. Okay, add all this column and just put it here. Okay, so this is how you will get the total taxable salary. Okay, just add the outer column then, and you will get the total taxable salary, gross taxable salary, 3,03,000. Right. So now after this, there's just one more thing they have added. In the above illustration, how shall your answer differ if Miss Sonal is working outside India and rent paid is for the house in Japan? So if she is working outside India, here she was working in India. Okay. But if she is working outside India, it would become Indian citizen who is a government employee and working outside India. Correct? In that case, what we had seen is your salary is taxable. Salary is taxable. Okay, deemed to accrue or arise in India. Perquisites and allowances are not taxable. So just whatever are the allowances here, that will not be taxable. So just to go down here, right, in this itself format itself, we have mentioned, correct, that these two you have put separately, and then everything came under the heading allowances. Correct? Rest everything was allowances. Okay, cut it. This is exempt for her in the second case. So only these two will be taxable. Okay, if she is working outside India. Okay, whole of this allowance part will be cut off. If she is working outside India, allowances is exempt. Just cut this whole thing off. Okay, only first two will be taxable. So which is why only the first two will be taxable in that case. All allowances are exempted under section 10(7). So that is it. I think we can will wrap it up now. And tomorrow we'll start with perquisites. Okay, we'll start with perquisites tomorrow. Right. Thank you.